And welcome back to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina, right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Joining us in studio is Tracy Terrace from, are you on your own, or do you work with a group?
Yeah, I'm in private practice here in Valencia, and the name of my business is Healing the Mind and Spirit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of your verbiage and the words that you use has a spiritual twist to it, and it's a lot of some of the words that we use, because we're, as life coaches, we're also on a spiritual journey, and it's all kind of coming together, and it really kind of solidifies and it helps both in our coaching practice as well as our personal life as well.
Yeah, well, I am a spiritual person, and I grew up that way. I grew up Catholic, in Louisiana, and so, coming from the South, it's like it becomes a part of who you are. It's like God is part of your family, basically. And so I think that the field of psychology is becoming more aware of the mind, body, spirit aspect of a person.
Nice.
And just realizing that, it's not just about the thoughts, it's not just about the behavior, but it's also about, what are your inner desires? What's informing you? Do you have, something that's bigger than yourself that's informing you? Like, even in marriage, it's my husband and I were doing a marriage workshop once, and just trying to relay the message that, if you're in a relationship and you're attending to the other's needs instead of constantly focusing on what it is you want out of that relationship, if both parties are focusing on the other, then everyone gets taken care of.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. We have also a saying that I've heard through the coaching world of, instead of it being like I'm 50% in, you're 50% in, and then that makes 100, it's I'm 100% in.
Exactly.
You're 100% in.
Yeah.
So whether or not you're bringing your 100, I'm bringing my 100 all the time. I'm committed.
And it's a willingness to go over the 100 at times, because if your partner can only do 70 because of something going on in his or her life, then you have to be willing to bring that 130 for the time that 130 is needed, and vice versa.
Isn't that so empowering to have a teammate, meaning your spouse, that I'm committed to you and us 100%. Exactly. And whether you bring 50 only to the party, I'm bringing my 100, so we're good. And it stands from a place of I'm 100% responsible for our relationship.
That's where it starts
It's
from.
so much more powerful than, well, what are you doing for me?
Yeah.
Because I believe that relationships aren't about what you can get from them, but rather than what can you put into them.
Yeah.
As a way of, I'm here to be in a relationship so that I could be of service and so that I can give it away.
And so I can learn and grow, right, from the process of being in a relationship.
Well, we're always learning and growing if you're willing to see life as a learning experience.
Yeah, and the moment you factor in a frame of thought of thinking about someone else, that's when you invite the spiritual in, because we are by nature selfish. I mean, as babies, we just want what we want, and you at a child, you have to train the child to realize that it's not all about them all the time. When they're a baby, yes, it is all about them. But as they're growing up, you have to teach them, that okay, we're in the family, we're in relationship. There are people who need you. There are people, who have needs just as you have needs, and it's something. And a lot of times, people don't learn that. And they grow up and get into a marriage, and they still feel like it's all about me. Like, I don't like those T-shirts that I see young girls wearing where it's all about me, because that's so not true. It's not. It's all about us. It's all about
Community.
The we in the relationship.
And the we in a relationship, yeah.
Family, community.
I think it's really key what you just shared, Tracy, that it's when you look outside of yourself, when you're not just focused on you, when you're focused on we or being in service to others, that the spiritual comes in. That all of a sudden it becomes bigger than just you personally.
Yeah, because if you believe in creation, then people were created to be in relationship, and it's like when you think of psychology, like most people think psychology is the study of the mind and behavior and things like that. And maybe that's the modern definition, but the original definition of psychology is the study of the soul.
Ah, beautiful.
And with the Greeks, they would have these therapists that would allow people to come in and talk and alleviate the anxieties of their soul, alleviate the sadness of their soul, be more present in relationship and available. So it's very interesting, that whole concept of the study of the soul.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because when I'm coaching a client, a lot of times some of the tools I'll use is I'll have them break down some of the thoughts that they come from their fears or their anxieties or their insecurities. And I'll say, where is that coming from? If you can designate a place, is it coming from here, meaning your spirit,
your body, you mean?
Your spirit, like your soul, or is it coming from your mind?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, 90% of them, they'll say it's usually coming from thoughts, from mind stuff.
Yes.
And I'll say, have you ever tapped into your soul, your spirit, or your intuition? And they'll say, absolutely. And I'll say, when is that? And a lot of times they'll say, it's when I'm at my most clearest moment, when I get crystal clear about the stand I'm going to take for somebody, or I get clear about the intention of giving of service. And so then I have them start distinguishing the difference from a conscious level of, is that thought or is it coming from your mind, or is it coming from your soul or your spirit? And as they start to get clarity on which message to listen to, they all of a sudden start to make the choices that are going to benefit them in the long run.
Yes, exactly. And I kind of have a personal story about that. I grew up. My dad and I didn't have a close relationship. We have a great relationship now. And I was just visiting my dad last week, and he has these two huge dogs that he rescued. One is a teddy bear. The other one is a pit bull, really big black pit bull. It has like medium brown eyes, and I swear they look like they are red eyes, you know, and it's like, this dog
Scary.
terrifies me. So when I'm there, my stepmom, she will put the dog away, but my dad, he takes the dog out. And so I was reframing in my mind that, you know, it's just all about him. He wants the dog. It doesn't matter that I'm afraid. And so it just made me start pulling away from my dad. But then knowing that, you know, it's what I'm thinking of with regards to my dad and this dog, I decided to have a conversation with him and told him how I feel. And he said, it's not about, you know, forcing the dog on you. It's, I don't want you to be afraid of Diablo. That's the dog's name. I don't want you to be afraid of him.
Great name for the dog.
If it's going to scare you anymore, let's name
might
it
as well
Diablo.
name him Diablo.
Exactly. He goes, I don't want you to be afraid of him. I want you to get to know each other and to get used to each other. And when you're here, you don't always have to feel like you have to have one of us around. So I switched it in my mind from thinking, oh, it's all about my dad, like it was when I grew up, to my dad wants me to feel safe. And completely changed my feelings, not about the dog, but about my dad wanting the dog around.
Yeah,
What
isn't that
happened was
amazing?
you had a perspective shift.
Exactly.
And that came out of a discussion that you opened up with your father to get clarity,
Exactly.
rather than you just deciding on your own that,
Yeah.
hey, my dad obviously doesn't care about me.
Based on past experience.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because all you can do is
exactly.
reevaluate or reassure some of these self-limiting beliefs that you might have created when you were a kid about
Exactly.
your father. But now as an adult, as a conscious adult, you said, you know what, let me just sit down and share with him how I feel. And then you open up a discussion.
Exactly.
And how powerful is that to have a family where you can open discussions
Yes,
and get some
yes.
clarity on what each other's...
And where you're in a place where you're open enough to be able to shift your perspective.
Exactly,
Where you're not
yeah.
stuck on thinking one thing.
Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my relationship with my dad now, it's, you know, he's there for me. I mean, I have my own room there, you know, and so it's completely different from when I was growing up. And so I had to make a conscious choice to evaluate what was going on from right now instead of back then.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we'll be back with more with Tracy. Stay tuned. You're listening to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.